I am Erin Filth. I'm a barber at Slick and Dapper Barber Shop on Broadway in Oakland, California. I'm also an educator at Urban Barber College in Concord, California. The tools I'm going to be using are the Andes BGRVs, the Andes Masters, the Andes Outliner. Shears I'm going to be using are the Hattori Hanzo shears and thinners. I'm going to be using my MD Barber straight razor, Suavecito regular hold pomade, and the Suavecito Bay Rum. So today I'm going to be doing a low fade long pomp. It's going to be more in the style of a more traditional pompadour, where we're going to be doing really low, darker blend around the sides, longer on top, and I'm going to be mostly doing a lot of shear work and clipper over comb. So the first thing I like to do with my haircuts is just to help me visualize how I want the haircut to look like. I like situating my parts at the beginning. So since he has a part in his hair right now, we're not going to be doing a pompadour with a part in it. We're going to do one that's more even throughout the top, so we can get a nice little edge when we do the final styling of a higher pompadour up on top. So I'm going to go ahead and get his hair slightly wet just so I can situate all my partings. What I like to do with most of my pompadour haircuts is do the horseshoe parting around the top. That way I can be more consistent with the blend, the longer blend on the side to the top. And it eliminates kind of the shorter side as with the pompadours that have a part in it. So my horseshoe parting will start right at the curve of the head on the sides. And I think this parting is really important with the longer pompadours, where the hardest part to these is just getting the length right around the temple. So when you actually style it, it's more streamlined and you can comb back and have it be more blended. And if you're not used to doing these, don't be afraid to kind of make the parting a little bit lower on the bend of the head. As I said, it's going to be a horseshoe parting, so it's just going to curve all the way back around. And I'm very particular about getting my parts perfect. I know with a lot of haircuts they don't have to be, because you're going to be blending up everything in the end, but I really like to visualize my haircut from beginning to end. So there are a lot of steps that I somewhat kind of do out of order than a traditional haircut. There's my horseshoe parting up on the top. So pretty much that's the last thing I'm going to be blending up, and that's mostly going to be, I'm going to be using shears on the top. So most of my haircuts I really like doing with my detachables. I rarely ever use my plastic guards unless it's a haircut that's anything over a 5, I can pretty much do shear work. So usually I don't use anything higher than a 5. But again, mostly with these haircuts, I like using my Andes BGRV or any type of detachable clipper works. So we're gonna start off with number 2. Another technique I like to use is actually pushing the hair through the blade. A lot of people sometimes don't like doing this with some cuts because you are kind of creating a harder line to blend in. But with longer haircuts like this, I'm not afraid to do that just because it's going to be longer up on top, so I can blend that in easily. And it also kind of helps organize your haircut a little bit more. As you can see, like with his hair being longer, the overhang is if I were to just go up and flick out, I still have all this hair hanging over, which for some people, if you're not used to doing this cut, if this is your first time doing this haircut, then you might not actually see where your line is if you're just flicking up. So this way, I can actually see where my line is. I'm pretty much going about pretty low on this line here. There's still a bit of a line, and we've got this weight line up here, but again, I'm gonna go back through that once I actually put styling product in. I like kind of doing the finishing work once I have it styled. So from here, I'm gonna go ahead and start working on the length that I have here on top. Go ahead and get all the hair wet. And again, I'm doing this haircut without a part in mind, and I want everything on top to be uniform. We're gonna go longer towards the front and shorter towards the back. And we're also gonna have everything kind of more wedged into the center so we can get all that height in the middle. So what I'm gonna do is just push everything over. Now this part in front, we're gonna wanna keep longer up in front. It's usually right at their peak. Probably kind of set that aside and not worry about it for now. Take my shears. You're gonna kind of want to try and keep this spot a little bit longer too so you can over direct. So what I'm gonna do is take this length up on top and match that length that I made with my clipper over comb work. Pull it a little bit back so that the front part's a little bit longer. Again, we're using that guide down here, just cutting off all the weight up here. And then you're gonna kind of want to pull all that hair out too. Forgot to mention, kind of at like a 90-degree angle. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the length around the back a bit too. Again, same thing, just taking up from that line that I made from the clipper over comb. Stop right there in about the middle. I'm going to take everything, push everything over to the other side. Kind of leave this part, we're going to leave this front part, it's going to be a little bit disconnected, and again, just bring it down right to about the peak, and then continue. As we get closer up to this front part, we're directed a bit back so we can keep it a little bit longer. So after you get all this weight cut down, I like to go back and grab my clipper comb and clean up this blend, or this line right here. And still want to kind of over direct the front part a little bit back. We're gonna want to keep, I'm not gonna take too much length off of the longest part of his hair up in front. Go ahead and take a parting straight up. And again, we want to keep most of this length, so I'm just gonna cut just enough off the ends to have it be nice and clean. This is pretty much gonna be my starting guideline as well, this length right up on here. So I'm gonna pull the hair back and we're gonna over direct towards the back, so it's gonna be a little bit shorter here and longer in the front. So the next parting that you're gonna do is you're gonna grab that same section of hair, but pull it back a little bit more at an angle. You'll be able to see your guide right about there. And then again, the farther and farther you keep going back, just take it down, angle it down just a little bit more. and stop at about the crown. And you'll see as we over-directed that the cut now will be more at an angle. Go through it one more time and double check. And then once you go through and cross check, it should be at a slant. Let's pull up this section again. Cross check your section from the other side. And as you're doing these, you're gonna wanna angle the hair outward to get. So again, with these haircuts, what I like to do, start from the length in the middle, and then I'm gonna start blending in these sides to the length that we have here. Then from here, I'm gonna grab angled section, and then you'll be able to see the disconnect from your length on the side here and to the length that you cut up on the top. If you pull this section on the side, you'll see the disconnect right there. And again, we're still pulling the hair back, so it's over-directed where we're still keeping the length towards the front. You can see all this disconnect right here, and that's all you're cutting. And do it again on the other side. And see the disconnect. You have your guide from the top where you stopped right at the crown, and then you have your guide right down here, the clipper over comb work that you did around the perimeter. And all you're doing is cutting what's ever in between your two guidelines. Right there. Really just have to focus around this back part because we already know that it's blended over on these sides. And again, we're gonna do some more detail work on those sides as well. We just wanna get it situated from the length on top to the length back here. You can err on the side of longer too towards the back, because when we style it, we can do a little high DA to make it a little bit more traditional pompadour. And I always like double checking and cross checking everything that I did. So now that this is pretty much the style that we're going for, so I'm gonna go through and just double check. Now I'm gonna go ahead, put in our product, which is the Suavecito Pomade Regular Hold. Secret to pomade is you wanna work it through from scalp all the way to the ends of the hair. And pomade usually goes, most brands, a little goes a long way. So usually about a dime size if it's pretty much on the tip of your finger. And again, working it all the way to the scalp, all the way out. Sometimes I see some people just kind of slop it on the top and there's nothing in the center or towards the scalp. You want it in the scalp all the way out to the end so it has something to harness or have a base. These long pompadours, we're gonna wanna get some height up on the top. One thing to do with pomade too is when you put the product in the hair, use the wider tooth side of your comb to kind of get the product, to kind of comb your hair into the shape that you want it. And then when you're actually styling it, use the smaller teeth on the comb. And the reason why you want to do this is because the wider teeth on the comb aren't going to push the product through the hair. If you're using this the whole time, you're going to push a lot of the product out, and by the time you get to styling, you're not going to have anything in your hair. So now, fine tooth side to get that nice edge. style this. We're gonna go ahead and take your comb, and to get that nice square pompadour top, what you're gonna wanna do is flick, comb up the front part while using your hand to create a ledge. And again, all hair is kind of different. It's fun to kind of play around with certain types of pomades that are gonna work best for your hair, that are gonna hold. When you're creating this ledge, don't worry if the back's starting to look a little funky as you're combing everything up. You can fine tooth that at the end. Pull in all those hairs that got pulled up. So again, I'm a sucker for traditional haircuts. I'm gonna do a DA in the back. DA is also called a ducktail or duck's ass because it looks like a duck's tail. All the hair from the sides. Pull everything back to really exaggerate that little part in the middle. Once you get all this hair here, take your comb, make that little part in the middle. And there you have a low fade long pump.